I guess I'm tired. Well, today I'm definitely tired, but I think in general, I don't think I've recorded in a while. I haven't had much to say. I'm still just thinking through so many parts of what I'm experiencing. One thing that's really clear to me is that I don't miss my chest. I don't feel like a longing or a regret. I don't feel like, oh, I wish I had the chest that I used to have, but I am not used to my body right now. And it does take me a while to get used to things, but it's a very jarring feeling to not be used to your body. I haven't felt it since I was young. When I first realized that I was experiencing gender dysphoria around the age of 18, I remember acutely feeling like, my body was something foreign to me. And it wasn't just my chest, things like my period, my hips. I was experiencing dysphoria around several different so-called secondary sex characteristics, and menstruating. And I made it my goal to accept my body. I felt at the time like top surgery wasn't going to be an option for me. I thought maybe I didn't want to do it. But most importantly, I couldn't access it. It was out of my budget and I was afraid of the pain associated with recovery. So understanding that, I may never have top surgery, I wanted some way out of the discomfort that I was feeling. And the main way that I was able to accomplish that was by becoming okay with it, like plainly accepting it, not expecting it to feel good, not expecting it to be a source of happiness or joy, but just sort of neutralizing it in my brain. And I was so successful at that I didn't realize until I had top surgery how much that was actually addressing my experience of gender dysphoria. Not fully. It wasn't expressing it fully. And to be clear, the reason I got top surgery was because the idea was presented to me that it was possible to feel better than neutral. That even though I had done all this work to feel neutral about my chest, which was an endeavor, that it was possible to actually feel wonderful about my body. And that idea really intrigued me. And actually, I'm at least, right now, it's been about 5.5 weeks. I don't feel wonderful about my body. That's just not a good description of how I feel. I'm leaving room for that to change. But how I feel is sort of like I need to get used to it. It's almost like full circle. I have this change to my body and my brain is kind of like, what's going on? The change is just, for me, it's jarring. And one thing I started to think about is I'm thinking about my gender and especially my gender expression and how I'm perceived a lot more now than I was before. As an example, I was going to get a massage. I had like a credit with a massage company and I was like, oh, I should make use of that before it expires. And then I realized that I wouldn't want the massage therapist to take the sheet down from below my chest. Like I'd rather them leave it above my chest, but typically they already do that as signaled by the shape of my chest. But now that my chest is flat, they might feel like they should pull the sheet down to my waist. And I didn't want that. But I equally didn't want to have to say, hey, please leave the sheet up at my chest. And so it creates this kind of tension of like, I don't want to have to introduce this conversation with someone who I'm having a functional interaction with, but I also don't want their assumptions to make me uncomfortable. And in this case, like, physically I would be uncomfortable. I didn't get top surgery so I could be topless. I got top surgery so I could be flat. And the feeling I had in response to that was like, I better just not get a massage. And I can trouble that. I can understand where that's work. That's something I'll have to, work through and press into. But part of what I'm realizing in this process is that for me as a non-binary person, where I don't identify as a man, I don't want to feel like a man, I don't want to be interpreted as a man, this creates a different kind of obstacle for me. Previously, I'd been navigating being perceived as having a chest, which was uncomfortable. And now I think I might be up against a little bit stronger perception of being male, which is also not what I want. So I think there's some balancing and some learning to happen there. But as a non-binary person, and also just in my own lived experience, all non-binary people have different experiences. For me, I think, a big problem was solved and a few little problems sprouted out of it. And I'm just trying to make sense of all of that and stay in touch with what I'm experiencing and not like gaslight myself into being like so excited, can't wait to show an update. You know, my story, it doesn't look like the stories I've mostly seen, which are like trans guys who feel elated. You know, that hasn't been my experience. So I'm making room for that to be okay. And that's where I'm at for now.